Now for the health check, I usually start with weighing them on a scale, and this one just measures them for each gram, not by 2. What are you doing? Sorry, that were my cats. I start with weighing them, and then I move on to the physical general health inspection. So the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, all that kind of stuff. Their behavior is pretty simple because you observe them throughout the week, and if there is any odd behavior, it's pretty easy to explain. Then the last process are 2 things that I do after the physical examination and the weighing, and that is the stool examination and the 3-in-1 test. And the 3-in-1 test is this one. It's a urinary testing, which tests the protein level, the glucose, and the pH in their urine. They're just regular testing strips. I'm trying to pull them out now. Comes in a little cylinder, and these are the results you can get from the strip. There's the pH, there's the protein, and the glucose. And for the pH, for a hedgehog, they're usually between 7 and 8. So on average, on a 7.5 to 8. The protein needs to be 0 because it's if there's more, there's an indication that they might have some kidney damage. And it also indicates diabetes. And glucose also indicates diabetes if there's more than the first block. So it's pretty simple and easy to read. Sorry, I'm trying to open the the thing. Yeah, so it's just a nice little testing strip. Focus. Yeah, so there's just 3 blocks on them, so it's pretty easy to test. If they I usually put them into a plastic box, which I have here too. I'll do that later. So I usually put them in a plastic bin, which is now already dirty because I have already done murder. So it's pretty dirty and it needs to be cleaned, it needs to be disinfected before I move on to James. I always provide them with some water to stimulate them peeing. Usually they start with pooing first. So that's the first one I will explain. When they poo, I usually use a disinfected spoon just to grab it up, and then I put it into this container. This container has a little bit of water in there, so I can mix it properly. It becomes a little more liquid. And I also have some saline solution, and I make this on my own because it's just a lot cheaper and it's pretty easy to do. So what I do, let me just put this aside for a moment. I usually start with my protection, which is a hairband to keep my hair out of my face, some gloves, and a mask. Not gonna do that now because it's all dirty anyway and it needs to be cleaned and infected, so it's not really useful right now. So then I take one of these glass slides. You always get them on the sides so you don't touch the surface that you're looking at under the microscope. Then, using a syringe, I get the poo sample and I put it on a glass slide. And then sometimes I do use saline. Didn't really use it now. It really depends a bit on how liquidy the stools are. Hi, cat. So it depends a bit if I use it. If I use it, I usually grab another dish and just mix it. And the saline, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but it helps with checking everything under the microscope. So when I have the poo sample on the glass slide, I grab one of these, and they're cover glasses. They're very tiny, so you don't need a lot of poo sample to on the glass slides, because if you do, then the sample will go around the glass and makes it harder to work with. It goes everywhere. So you really just need a small drop. And then I turn on the microscope. Are you doing anything? Yeah, you do. So, trying. Yeah, so this is usually around what you see. I'm trying to focus it while I'm filming, but I don't really think it's working. So yeah, when you look through the microscope, you basically need to focus on the stool and you go over the glass. And I used to have some slides next to me to compare, to identify any eggs and cells and parasites. But as you go around it, you really learn to identify them on your own. So I don't really use them anymore. Yeah, and so by looking through the microscope, you can see if an animal has any parasites or bacteria or viruses or whatever. In this case, Murta hadn't, so that's pretty easy. And when they do urinate in the bin, I usually use another syringe, not this one. The other one is currently in cleaning. But I suck it up. And the reason why I suck it up and not just pour it over is because if you pour it over, then the urine will go through all of the poo as well, and it gets contaminated. So with a syringe, you can easily suck it up from the plastic and then just drop it on one of these tests. And you wait for about 60 seconds and then just read off the results and you're done. And that's pretty much how the whole health check goes. Hi. You want to join? So sweet. Yes. So yeah, that was the whole explanation. Thanks, Kat, for joining me. No, don't do that.